What is up, fam? We are doing a breaking down of St. Patrick's Day, of Mother Ireland, of its rich history, much of which has been blacked out thanks to the Roman-backed British and their Roman Catholic Church. So this video is going to break through that and then highlight some of our ancestral traditions, heritage, and wisdom, which has been almost blotted out from history. What a sad thing it is, matey, my lassies, my lads. I just typed in Gaelic, Irish bagpipes, dubstep. I wish there was more. Let's go. So check out Ape House, Gaelic Storm. That's where I just borrowed that from. Let me just take you through some pre-Christian cultural, religioso motifs that we had. Nun-Ooze. Here's a famous picture of him. I would like to get this a little bit bigger. Here he is with a snake in his left hand. Now, when St. Patrick came to Ireland, he drove out the snakes. This is a reference to the native system of metaphysical belief in the snake serpentine energy, which is called vril in Nordic traditions, prana in the East, or chi, or kundalini, the life force energy, often associated with fertility, sexuality, for it is from sex that life comes into being. Light, life, energy, consciousness, light. What we're conscious of is what's brought to the light. Light is what gives organization to the darkness, which is the void, chaos, which is why we often have a theme of a hero slaying Tiamat in Babylonian, Sumerian myths, Mesopotamian myths, which is chops it up into pieces. It organizes it. The god Osiris was chopped up into 14 pieces. Only 13 of them found, hence the obsession with number 13, or 13 colonies formed by Masons who venerate Egyptian gods and goddesses because they believe that their god Yahweh and those people who believe in the Hebrew scriptures took over the Pharaohic dynasty. And this happened with the Ptolemaic dynasty, especially under Soter Ptolemy. We have lots of Egyptian influence into the Mesopotamian, Babylonian, Ugaritic, Hittite religion that we call Judaism, which has to do with a conquering of the darkness, of the void, of the chaos, and putting it into order out of chaos. So here we have current Nun-Ooze, which there's a similarity to Ur-Anuz, or Uranus, god of the heaven. But here we have Kur. Kur is usually earth, has to do with earth. Kur, Kriya, the consort, together with Rhea, child of Kronos. Kronos is Saturn. Saturn is the horned goat. Kronos is in charge of time. Kronos, as Saturn, is the ruler of Capricorn, which is the master of Earth. It has its ruler is Set or Seth or Saint Joseph, the architect of Earth. It is in reference to the god Pan or Pan, Panis Angelorum, bread of the harvest, of fecundity. Often it was a god idol with a big erect phallic Pan with goat feet, hearkening to the sign of Capricorn, where Saturn rules. The horned devil type image comes from this when they demonize whatever religion they take over. Here we have the stag to its right usually being the feminine side. The tree of life and the serpent is a motif not reserved just for the Mesopotamian Jewish cult of the tree of life with the serpent and temptation. The serpent is sexual energy. The tree of life, usually our spine, which also relates to the world's spine, its axis, and its pole. The serpent being the movement of the sun and the moon around it, which meets up. Whenever it meets up is where we have our the eclipses. Here we have a bull. The bull would be usually Taurus. Baal is the bull in Sumeria. Apis is the bull in Egypt. The sacred cow of the Indians. So Kurt Nunuz and then he has a golden hoop, which Egyptian pharaoh S's wore and pharaohs, and it's magical. It has to do with the circle of life, I'm sure, and it also has to do with the Egyptian influence upon the Irish ancestral tradition. There is a tradition that holds that a Egyptian pharaoh escaped Egypt under persecution and went to Ireland. I believe we have a line there. There's Leo. The Milky Way usually makes its way into the Milky Way and the Big Dipper, the Big Bear, and Orion, and then the brightest star Sirius, and of course the sun, the moon, and the planets. They always show up personified in religious myth, especially with a personification of the forces of nature, the four elements: fire, earth, air, water, and the aether, perhaps the spirit realm. Cronos, some cool imagery of him. Oh, so then we have the goddess Curduin, Cer, harkening back to the earth. And she was a beautiful goddess, as well as Curduin. She's the goddess of rebirth, an enchantress. In Welsh medieval legend, the Welsh, the Scots, the Irish, the English, all from the British Isles, have been successfully separated and turned in on each other. Taliesin. Taliesin is a figure in Celtic lore, which he's got a city. Oh, Frank Lloyd Wright has a place near him. Oh, Frank Lloyd Wright named a place Taliesin. That's his like a famous because he was hip to this stuff. Anyways, back. Taliesin is like the Merlin archetyped Mercury, Thoth in Egypt, Hermes, thrice great in Greece. The planet Mercury, the psychopomp, in between the heavens and the earth. Anubis. Heaven. Anu is the god from Sumeria, Anu of the heavens. Anu, or Anus. Is earth. Heaven. Kur, earth. Anus, Dwin is like the goddess of earth. And Gaia. It's called the language of the birds once you figure this out. The keys, earth. Have a on, alpha, beta, or alphabet. Some other cool things that we have is a look into Taliesin, a bard, a poet, a priest, an astrologer. His legends are great. They were often taken over. St. Patrick was replaced by him. St. Patrick, a fictional character who was used by the British Roman conglomerate to theologically take over Ireland and replace our heritage, our ancestral wisdom and knowledge with this Roman Judeo Christian one that really wound up splitting us. So we're fighting against Protestant Christians, which the North and the South was split upon that. Which really brought us to our knees, and then we were poisoned, potato famined, put into slavery. But if you were to say that there's ever somebody who is in slavery besides certain people, then you get in trouble. Max Muller is a great religious studies scholar. I recommend him if you want to get into religious studies. The Tuatha De Danann, on heaven, Tuath, those to earth from heaven came, were this really awesome mythological, maybe historical, maybe not, conquerors. See, Ireland always had conquerors, so it's like, well, who? We don't know who the ancestor, like the original ancestors were, because it was always getting conquered. This website, the Celtic Journey on WordPress, does a good job into Ireland, the mythology, the pre-Christian mythology, much of which has been totally blacked out. Least preserved, the taking of Ireland. And we have the Fomorians and the Tuatha De Danann. They were battling tribes. Often the image of the snake and the tree were part of Celtic mythology. So when St. Patrick drove out the snakes, there's never been any snakes in Ireland. They're not indigenous to that area. It's in reference to him driving out the indigenous people's wisdom of metaphysiological knowledge. Danu is the mother goddess, so they had a great reverence for the goddess and also earth. Also, a lot of similarity to the Akkadian script, which is very telling. Danube, the river Danube. And so they're referred to as a tribe of Dan in the Bible, which goes to the judge, which you would think would be the scales of Libra. But no, here we have that they associate the tribe of Dan with Scorpio. But the claws of Scorpio used to be this, got turned into the scales of Libra. Scorpio is often denoted as a snake because it sheds its skin. It's in charge of rebirth. But Libra is ruled by Venus and Scorpio is ruled by Mars. So, but Venus also has a warlike side to her as well. You could go into trying to link up the astrological attributions of the 12 tribes of Israel with the corresponding sign of the zodiac, and it's been done by many different people. I think Mathers, who was instrumental in coming up with the Golden Dawn, which our boy Aleister Crowley, who I'm not a fan of so much, but he put some good research in. Um, they came to similar associations with the tribes and their astrological connotation. Just as there's 12 tribes of Israel, there's 12 Knights of the Round Table, 12 assistants to Bacchus, to 12 apostles of Christ, to the 12 Hercules labors, to the 12 pillars of Samson, to the every hero in its epic has 12 tests, houses it has to go through, situations it has to deal with. Now, if you want to try to figure out exactly, Judah is usually Leo. Here they have Dan as Scorpio, and then Asher as Libra, where we get Asherah, who's Venus, the ruler of Libra. So that would make sense. Okay, we also have the god Uranus sits with one leg up and one leg down in that style, Indian style, which is related to the god. Wherever you see a god cross-legged but with one leg down, or one leg dipping into the a water, which is the Milky Way, because we have the god Orion, the constellation Orion that sits on top of the Milky Way, who is also John the Baptist, who baptizes in the River Jordan. We also have Jordanus, which is constellation, which is the constellation of the river. The whole thing about Irish, see, they don't want to compare anybody else's slavery with anybody else's. Brigid is they have was this goddess of Ireland, pre-Christian Ireland. She got turned into Saint Brigid. There was never a Saint Brigid. It was the goddess Brigid. Her feast day is February 1st, which is the festival called Imbolc, important to the Celtic people. British rule in Ireland. St. Patrick was not even Irish. He was British, Romanized, and barely historical, if at all, and was used to enslave the Celtic people theologically, spiritually, mentally, because they couldn't do it militarily. And then eventually they did militarily. St. Patrick was nothing more than an agent of this and nothing to be celebrated. I'm sorry, that's a little bit down, but what can we do during this time? Get in touch with your own ancestral lineage, what they believe, their cosmological world view, their appreciation for the elements, earth, especially the goddess. Not worshiping a Jewish Christian superhero mythological character as a historical person, and giving your sovereignty up to a delusion, or thinking that it's historical when it's allegorical, mostly for the rising of your own sacred serpent on the staff, and so must Christ be lifted up just like it. The marriage of the sacred feminine and masculine, the god and the goddess, which is the god Yahweh and Astara, or Astarte, Ishtar, the masculine and the feminine, Mars and Venus, Jupiter and Saturn, the moon and the sun upon the staff, ruled by Mercury.